welcome back to another episode of the Natural History Central podcast. This is going to be part 2 of our NHK documentary review. Joining me as last time is Armin.
Hello there.
Kalamakau.
Yo.
And Beaver.
A.
B.
Yeah. So last time, obviously, we discussed episode 1, which we liked quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It was definitely
You should
above
definitely
average.
watch the episode if you haven't already.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Miles better than When Whales Walked, for those of us who watched it. Comparing it to the other thing 2019 has produced.
I mean, it's the first documentary review which was actually decent.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah. And this one was more than decent. Let's give them that as well.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is of course a 2-episode series. And so we must review episode 2, which we don't exactly share the same feelings about. Yeah.
Please, no.
Oh,
This will be torture.
All right.
Yeah.
It's already
Um
torture already.
You haven't even started yet. We haven't even mentioned what we haven't even mentioned what the focus of this episode is.
I know, but I've seen it. I hated it. And I don't want to discuss it anymore.
Yeah, basically we all really, really dislike this episode in that it's really bad. It's the Mosasaur episode.
Poor
Why must-
Mosasaurs. They don't really get the representation they deserve.
Why
Not
must
at
you
all.
do this?
Not at
I mean,
all.
they're pretty much massive marine monitor lizards. Why do they get screwed over so much?
Because
Let's save that part for later.
yeah. So how does this so we can't really discuss what the plot is about because there is none.
There is
Case
no
in point.
plot.
Case
They
in
are
point.
just-
How does this episode about Mosasaurus start? Spinosaurus.
Yay!
Dinosaurs Egypticus.
And not just any Spinosaurus.
A
Quad
Knuckle
Spinosaurus.
Knuckle
Also,
dragging.
just to
pronated.
Just to be clear, Spinosaurus Egyptiacus. Let's not fall to the same mistake Jurassic Park 3 did. I'm looking at you, Jack Pointer.
Egyptiacus.
It's Egyptiacus.
Not Egypticus.
Egypticus.
It's not Egypticus.
Exactly, that's false. It's Egyptiacus.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the episode starts with Spinosaurus. Do you want to share the image of the first
Yep.
image we get of it, basically?
Wait, wrong channel. No!
You.
I'm sorry.
Armin, you are messing up.
At least it was very early on. Like, he doesn't have to spend hours watching through audio to find it.
Oh my.
So, Spinosaurus, everybody! Which suspiciously has a similar sail to the orange slice Dimetrodon we discussed in a previous Dimetrodon episode.
So,
Okay, so what can we say about this? First
I mean,
of all,
first of all, I think
you should never have pronated hands on a quadrupedal animal, like
Yes.
Spinosaurus. Never.
Yeah.
It's an
never.
abomination.
It's a sin.
Yeah.
It's a big sin that needs to be purged.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Um,
I'm gonna play Devil's Advocate. I think the design looks decent. I mean,
I agree.
colors are nice. The texture is nice, I think.
Yeah.
The CGI is pretty nice. It's just
Oh, the
it's
CGI.
quad, it's pronated and knuckle dragging.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not walking with its knuckles. It's just dragging them through the sand.
Yeah, it's if you watch the episode, you'll see it's not stepping with its arms. It's literally just dragging them through the sand. It's literally causing drag marks. It's ridiculous. And
Well, overall, it's nice. The proportions are decent.
yeah,
this is one of my favorite Spinosaurs. It's the pronated hand and knuckle dragon.
I can't say it's my favorite. I still think that
If only it was
the Nat Geo ones are better.
I called the favorite Spinosaurus.
Yeah.
The head is really nice.
Yeah. So this Spinosaurus, clearly in immense pain through shredding the skin of its hands by knuckle dragging, decides to wander out into the ocean to drown itself. I guess.
We have live footage of that.
Yeah.
Which again, it's a nice shot. It's great.
Very nice. I will say that. So in this one, it's depicted as fishing off the coast, which I feel is inaccurate. I don't think Spinosaurus would have done that. You have really big river fish.
Sorry, Discord crashed. I wasn't responding.
Okay.
Great.
Basically, we're talking about how Spinosaurus goes out to ocean to swim, which is a big no-no in my book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Why is it going out into the sea anyway?
Well, we'll explain why. It's to serve the plot, but
it serves the plot as not at all actually.
Here comes my.
Wait, but I'd just like to point out that also going out to the sea to fish is a terrible idea when you're looking for fish, because there's not going to be that many big fish around the coast, is there?
Yeah.
Case in point, it chases about 3 sardines.
Which it could have gotten a massive Mausonia in the rivers.
Gotten Uncle Pristy's Mausonia, but
Uncle Pristis would have been seasonal and may have just spawned, but Mausonia was freshwater. You could even have gone crocodiles. I'm sure they could have gone small crocodiles. They could have gone a lot of stuff, ranging in all sizes. But no, those 3 sardines.
No,
worth it.
I think it had a personal vendetta, to be honest.
Yeah. But there is one big animal in this ocean, which does encounter the Spinosaurus. You want to share the picture in question?
No.
Nope.
No, please. Why?
This is a plesiosaur.
Not a mosasaur, mind you.
This is a plesiosaur, which is massive because Spinosaurus is 15 meters long, and this appears to be around the same size, so 15 meters, while the largest plesiosaur we know is 10, maybe 11, 12. I believe Sachicasaurus has recently been described as 11 to 12 meters, but it will get downsized because they always do. So that's a giant plesiosaur, and there's no record of plesiosaurs anywhere near Africa, and I don't believe in the Mediterranean at all. Perhaps in the European waters, maybe there would have been contemporary plesiosaurs, but nothing near Africa.
So that's dumb. So much.
We just sort of Spino swims, something starts pulling it down, and we see a massive plesiosaur just attacking it, also killing it.
Yeah, it kills it, and then the plesiosaur.
They're really just gonna kill off Spinosaurus 2 minutes in and expect me to be okay with it.
2 minutes in, Spinosaurus gets killed. Plesiosaurus drags it off into the deep blue, and we never see any of them again. Neither of them ever appears.
Yep, neither Spinosaurus, no Pliosaurus. Pliosaurus kind of come up, but not in the same context.
A plesiosaur is a British plesiosaur skull appears.
Yeah, but it has basically this entire intro scene has nothing to do with the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
the best guess I had is there were big things in the ocean, but then again, why use a pliosaur and not just a mosasaur, which are literally what the entire rest of the episode focuses on?
Technically, pliosaurs would have been closer in time to Spinosaurus, and that there were no
mosasaurs. Use Spinosaurus either. So why not use the Western Interior Seaway? Could have done something with that.
Yeah. Which they do later. They do, and then like 5 minutes later, you do see a mosasaur attacking a dinosaur. So what?
I hate it.
There's no point to the scene. It adds nothing. It connects to nothing.
We're 2 minutes in, and it's already terrible. So that happens.
Why?
And then there's a title sequence that spoils literally everything that will come in the documentary. But we're not going to dwell on that. And then we jump straight into a shoal of fish, which is honestly very well animated. It's really
I think
beautiful.
that sequence was
very well
There's
done. An elasmosaur. Oh wait, I just want to point out that we're going to be discussing a bit the text identification for the dinosaurs, for the animals in this episode. The Spinosaurus.
The Spinosaurus. Worst part.
The Spinosaurus is identified as Spinosaurus. The Plesiosaur is left unidentified. There's no text at all for that one. That's all I'm going to say for now. Then we go on to the fish. A Plesiosaur pops in. No identification for the Plesiosaur. And then there's also Xiphactinus, or Xiphactinus, that pops up. I honestly find the Xiphactinus model to be decent. Also, yeah, that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
it's a great Xiphactinus model, to be honest.
Yeah, and the simulation of the shoal is gorgeous.
I think there should be more documentaries with bait ball scenes.
The only one to do one before this, you mean prehistoric documentaries? And
yeah, of course.
The only one to do one before this was Sea Monsters by National Geographic. I don't know if the IMAX documentary Sea-Rex did it, but it may have. Oh wait, no. And Dinosaurs Giants of Patagonia had a tiny bait ball. Had a shoal. It wasn't a bait ball, just a shoal.
I guess. Yeah. There's some great.
It must take a lot. Yeah, but it must take a lot of. It takes a lot of programming and a lot of computing power.
Yes, I suppose.
So it's really expensive to do. So honestly, it's really nice that we have a good bait ball scene out there. And it is gorgeous.
Yeah,
do you want to share a close-up? Yeah. Do you want to share a close-up of the Xiphactinus?
Yes, of course. Here we have it, which also has the Elasmosaur in the background. This is not a size comparison. There's quite distance between the two. So
yeah. I honestly like the Xiphactinus. It's decent. It's long. It's accurate. There's nothing wrong with the Xiphactinus.
I mean, Xiphactinus is so well known. It's hard to mess it up.
Yeah, it's very well represented in the fossil record. But wait, what's the text identification for Xiphactinus? It's Xiphactinus-like. It's not identified as Xiphactinus. It's identified as Xiphactinus relative.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's Xiphactinus plus 3 terms at the end that sort of mean relative. I'm just going to be colloquially referring to those 3 to that as like Xiphactinus-like. So it's a Xiphactinus-like. It's a Xiphactinoid, or that's definitely not the term, but it's a relative of Xiphactinus. I don't know why. Considering Xiphactinus is basically cosmopolitan.
This is literally.
I think
Xiphactinus. How could you mess up?
I think.
Well,
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Xiphactinus was present until the KPG.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I can't even see a reason of them saying, "Oh, it's late Cretaceous, so let's not use Xiphactinus," which is often shown in the segments showing the Western Interior Seaway.
Yeah, which are
because it's something I double checked. Because when you see Xiphactinus, often in the context of, oh yeah, Western Interior Seaway, Tyrannosaurus, that kind of stuff. So I just went out of my way to check, wait, how long did Xiphactinus live actually? Yeah. And from what I could tell, it was present until the KPG, so...
It was.
I don't see a reason why we wouldn't just go with Xiphactinus.
But yeah, now on the topic of identifications, do you want to know what the Plesiosaur is identified as?
Drop it.
It has no text identification, and all the narrator can be understood to say is Plesiosaurus, but it's quite possible that it is Plesiosauroid. Oh wait, no, I might be goofing. I think it's Plesiosaur-like. Sorry, no, it does have a text identification. It is Plesiosaur-like, so it's a Plesiosaur. That's a lovely identification.
Yes, which
very
specific, considering that the clade Plesiosaur also includes Pliosaurs and
yeah.
So yes.
And then we get the star of the show appearing.
Yes, the star of the show.
Which is
it's currently uploading. 1 second.
It's the first short, it's the first short Mosasaur I've seen. It's very short, it's very squat, it's very chubby. I like it as like a prognathodon or something. I think it could be interesting.
Exactly.
We don't see a lot of squat.
Exactly what I more saw this as a prognathodon than a mosasaurus.
Yeah. But this is this is identified as Mosasaurus. Properly. No Mosasaurus like, this is Mosasaurus proper.
Shit, my head, they should have gone with prognathodon.
One thing I want to mention, I think like the attempted coloration, the pattern looks pretty nice, I think.
Looks like
it doesn't show much. It doesn't show that much. It gets boring, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's underwater.
So many. They could have done tiger shark. They could have done
shark counter shading.
Sorry?
It's not just let's just have generic counter shading and that's it.
I would take not one of the animals has shark counter shading, even though we have evidence of shark counter shading being present in the fossil record. There's no shark counter shading. There's nothing interesting. There's no tiger shark. Nothing. There's no killer whale. You could have done so many interesting designs that are present in large aquatic predators. But no, everything is great. The plesiosaur, great. The mosasaur, great. The fish, great. The Xiphactinus, a slightly lighter shade of grey with a bit of a blue tint.
I mean it fits for
Xiphactinus looks like the greyest of all of them, if you ask me.
I mean,
true.
To be honest,
From that angle, yeah.
More than all the other.
Yeah, so I honestly really got tired. It just got so boring seeing the same bland, featureless thing. Just so often.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Which is a theme for this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So yeah, the Mosasaur is identified as the Mosasaurus, and then what happens next in the Mosasaur story? So we then cut to the land. Okay, obviously the Mosasaur shows up and just massacres all the Xiphactinus. Because that's all it does in this documentary.
The Xiphactinus deserved better.
Just put in the telltale text, and Xiphactinus remembers that.
Yeah. Xiphactinus is like a punching bag for larger aquatic predators.
That it is.
It's just kind of ironic given how terrifying this thing really is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Xiphactinus is often seen as what hellish fish which terrorize the oceans. But when it comes to media depictions, it's always just the punching bag for the larger reptiles.
Exactly. It's a shame.
It looks like having, let's say, a documentary about leopards, yeah? And then you just, every time a leopard shows up, it's just a punching bag for the lions.
Shame.
So after having eaten everything, we then cut to Mosasaur, and then cut to the land, or rather a beachfront property, where a sauropod is being harassed by two Tyrannosaurs. Do you want?
Not even. Didn't even get to finish.
Yeah, that's the sauropod, which is not identified at all. It may be supposed to be Tamba titanus, which is the Japanese sauropod, because the website identifies this sauropod model as Tamba titanus, or rather Tamba Ryu, which is the nickname. And then we have the Tyrannosaurus chasing it. Do you want to share a close-up of the Tyrannosaurus? I believe. Do you have a better one?
I have the one from the later scene in the water.
Okay, well, yeah. So the Tyrannosaurs chase the Tamba Ryu, let's call it that, the sauropod, into the water. And of course, the Mosasaur attacks them.
Because why?
I love the part in this because from the picture you can tell that the Tyrannosaurs are like ankle deep to knee deep in the water. Yet most of the time the Mosasaur stays completely submerged until it attacks.
So basically like every Godzilla movie ever.
Yes.
It's complete submersion and just standing up.
Yeah.
So
because
the
water levels don't matter. Once you are below the water, physics don't exist anymore.
Yeah. And
Pretty
so the
much.
mosasaur bites the tyrannosaur breaks free, the tyrannosaur bites the mosasaur back, and then it's just a fight to the death. None of them even considers retreating. It's a
The
fight to the death.
sauropod just disappears entirely.
And the T-Rex
Oh, yeah.
thinks and the
As soon
Tyrannosaur.
as the mosasaur attacks. Wait, I have actually a good picture of all of them from bird's eye view, where you can see the closest thing to the mosasaur was the sauropod, yet it went for the tyrannosaur.
Well, to be fair, the tyrannosaur would have been the smaller target, but it is Tyrannosaurus.
Oh,
Is it?
But actually, no. The text identifies it as Tyrannosaurus-like. So Tyrannosauroid.
okay, but like, you know what's ridiculous? Is when it gets a good bite on the mosasaurus retreats, and then it decides to go deeper into the water to try and chase it down, and then ends up getting killed anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, the mosasaur bit the mosasaur bit the tyrannosaur. You don't just you're obliged to. I mean, you can't just not fight to the death after that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's been settled.
It could have just retreated. It could have just retreated, and that's it. Doesn't have to.
Don't you just hunt dying. Don't you just hunt down every mosquito ever that just bites you and make sure it's dead?
I do.
That's
Katana on one hand.
Hey, don't. That's when I go outside. We don't talk about.
We don't talk about what you do when you go outside.
Yes, when mosquitoes bite me.
I eat them all.
Just inhale.
You want to suck my blood?
Okay, so
back to the Tyrannosaur design. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Awful.
I despise it. That matte black feathering is just the worst thing I've ever seen on a JP Rex. I mean, that's a straight up Jurassic Park Rex too. There's not even an attempt to change it like they did with the Turbosaurus, slightly tweaked, or the Nanosaurus, where they properly change it up. This is JP Rex, matte black feathering. I could do this in MS Paint. I'm sorry, but that's just god awful, and it spends so much time, and it's so ugly to look at, and it's just the focus. And all the colors gone in this episode. The beauty of the previous episode is just thrown out the window.
It's a lot of blue sky, gray sky.
Gray sky.
Turquoise water from the surface. Then you've got blue under the surface and beach.
And harsh bright sun, harsh bright beach and sun. Yeah. Especially in the Africa segment, which we're getting to later on.
Also, I appreciate this cinematic parallels. Like, our opening is the Pliosaur just annihilating Spinosaurus and carrying it off. And once we see Tyrannosaur, it gets annihilated by a Mosasaur. It's carried off into the ocean. It's like the same scene. Of course,
the real question is, who would win in a fight? Mosasaur or Pliosaur? I suppose we should move on. That's it. It's just, so Mosasaur has killed everything. It even ate some fish.
Of the show.
Yeah.
Scene happens, Mosasaur shows up, kills it, and retreats into the water.
Also, we've gone a long time without a scientific segment, but don't worry, the documentary makes up for that later on. What are we even at this point? At this point, are we at the part where they're talking about the Pliosaur skull?
I think the Pliosaur is next, yeah.
Yeah, so they have Dean Lomax, who's so much better than this documentary, just automatically. They have him talking about a Pliosaur, and I think, on his website he says he was asked by the documentary to talk about giant ichthyosaurs as well as marine reptiles preying on dinosaurs. So clearly they just bribed him by telling him he could talk about ichthyosaurs, and then just edit that out.
It's what we do when we promise Sassy he can talk about pterosaurs.
Yep.
Basically, yeah. So they have him talking about, I believe, from what I can gather, automatically we have a great disconnect with the previous episode where you could get everything from the visuals. In this one, you can just vaguely hazard at one thing, and then you're just completely in the dark for the rest of it. I guess they're talking about a nodosaur with
Yeah,
a
it's
plesiosaur
like the one
tooth.
scene where
or-
you could guess from the context,
Yeah.
given that they show a pliosaur skull and the scales of what appear to be a nodosaur. So the idea, I think, was that they showed evidence connecting pliosaurs preying on nodosaurs.
And they have a picture of a nodosaur as well.
Which is pretty nice, I'm gonna be honest. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very heavily based on Borealopelta. Especially in the document. I believe it's a reused model. I don't know about the footage from the Great Dinosaur Discovery of the Century or whatever, the Japanese dinosaur documentary about Mukawa Ryu. Mukawa Ryu being the unnamed hadrosaur that will be described sometime soon. Apparently, the paper is in the works and may or may not have been published. Submitted.
Someone's
Godzilla is
Beeping
returning.
noises.
Godzilla.
Godzilla
It's
is
the
back for
mosasaur.
round 2.
The flying
But
Mosa.
yeah.
He heard us talking
I just said the flying Mosa. Come on, it's funny.
Yes. So do you guys want to know what the nodosaur is identified as?
What?
Nodosaur-like, I assume.
I believe so. Yes. I actually forgot it was in this. So.
Okay. Say it.
Yep. It's Nodosaurus-like.
Ah!
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Genus this.
Yeah.
Genus that.
Nope. No genus. No genus. It's just Nodosaur.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
It's just
genus
nothing.
like.
Yeah.
Just
genus
like
relative.
this,
genus
like
relative.
that.
Whatever. It's not a direct transliteration or translation, but it's roughly that.
Beep. Beep.
Beep, beep, Richie.
But yeah. What happens after this? I think after this we go to Mosasaur Evolution. I don't think there's anything
I'm
left.
not entirely sure. I have a lot of pictures that I don't remember how they fit into this documentary. Like the pterosaur.
Let me just quickly scroll through. Oh, okay. Just a second. Let me quickly scroll through it. Then we talk about the Mosasaur eating an ammonite.
Or should I
So
post
then
a
we have
picture?
the ammonite with the thing, which is one of the few bits I found tolerable about this episode.
It was. I thought
It was good.
decent.
It was good. No, and
Yeah, it's
basically
actually
they show the
good.
Mosasaur. They show the Mosasaur eating on this ammonite. Oh look! I wonder if that says ammonite-like. It probably says ammonite
Please.
relative.
Please, no.
Oh yeah, it's ammonite relative. So ammonite relative. So they basically depict
So it's not even
the
a real ammonite.
Oh my
it's just a
God.
relative of an ammonite.
Yeah, it's not even a genus relative. So they depict basically these are tooth marks, and they depict how the mosasaur would have formed the tooth marks, and that's it. Yeah. So that's
Went nowhere.
yeah, but it's harmless.
It's
And then after this bit, I believe we're still on and on about how. Actually, no. So we mention this, but we don't actually portray it. It gets portrayed during the next sequence. So the next sequence, after this sciencey bit about the eating the nodosaur and then eating the ammonite, we open with the god-awful tyrannosaur hunting a pterosaur.
Oh, I'm gonna post a Tyrannosaur. Oh, this is such a good image because. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's what happens when it stops. That's how it stops running. Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's not
didn't
supposed
know-
to be the neutral pose, in fairness, but it's how would the Tyrannosaur even get into this position?
Man, I didn't know they put retrosaurs in 2019 documentary.
Well, you had Scaly Troodon in a 2016 one, so you never know. But no, this is not obviously it walking or a neutral pose, but this is how it stops after almost chasing a pterosaur off a cliff. The pterosaur then flies along and perches on a log in the water. If you want to share that picture of the
Yes,
pterosaur.
I think the Pterosaur itself is pretty well done, actually. I do like the design
I think
of it.
it's probably my favorite model from the episode.
Yeah.
It's a decent design. It's got lovely pycnofibers. It's not too flashy, but still colored. Although honestly, I'm actually wishing something were as flashy as the previous episode at this point, because the previous episode just had so many gorgeous colors, and
It
this one
just went from complete saturation of every color to just the printer ran out of colors, I guess.
But yeah, this one is identified. The identification of this one translates directly to as Darko relative, so as Darkoid. So this as Darkoid perches on a log and then gets promptly yeeted by a mosasaur.
Yeah, it
Because of course.
Suddenly, Mosasaur jumps up from the background and eats it.
Yeah,
It's just as out of nowhere as the entire sauropod scene. And it's not even the last of these random Mosasaur jumps and eats stuff scenes.
Oh yeah. So after the perch on the log, then we have the mosasaur going to the ammonites and biting on the ammonite and eating it and all that. Which is honestly, it's the best scene. Then we have a very talky bit. I don't know what they're saying. Then we have a bit of a mosasaur just hanging limply in the water. I don't know what that means.
It's a symbolism for the audience at this point.
Yeah.
Having given up on this episode.
And then we travel back to Africa. 96 million years ago, I believe. From what I remember. And we see a monitor lizard of sorts. Do you want to share the monitor lizard?
Yes. Yes, I do.
That's a very nice monitor lizard.
Oh, it's a great model.
It's really good. It looks really real.
Yeah.
So, this is, as the sequence goes on, you will realize that this is supposed to be the ancestor of Mosasaurus. The text identifying the genus, though, helps also convey that, because the identification is literally Mosasaurus ancestor.
And it
Thanks
looks
for being so
exactly
specific.
like a monitor lizard.
And I have no clue what it's doing in Africa 96 million years ago, because as far as I know, there's absolutely no evidence of mosasauroids from Africa, of anything related to mosasaurs from Africa. That would have been terrestrial. Because, I mean, the earliest things from mosasaurs are largely from Europe, so I don't know why I said this in Africa. But
and
yeah, you have your...
Why does it look exactly like a monitor lizard?
Yeah.
Because of creative bankruptcy.
That feel when Monsters Resurrected did a better job with the mosasaurs than this did.
Yeah. So this Mosasaurus ancestor runs along, eats a lobster, and it's also running along the feet of sauropods.
That are just ID'd as sauropod.
Yep, that's literally the only identification they get. It's basically the same model, and I suspect possibly even the same texture. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't care.
I see this as Egyptosaurus.
I don't care because it's identified as sauropod.
It's a
I'm just saying
And they made up a monitor lizard for the main. They made up their protagonist. They're not above just completely making up a sauropod.
Which, as you can notice, last episode we followed a clear protagonist. We had a Dinosaurus with a pathology, which we would follow throughout the entire episode. In this episode, we had a random scene with the bait ball, a random scene with the Tyrannosaurus, which may or may not have been the same one. Nobody can tell. Then we had a random scene with the Ammonites. Again, was it the same one? Was it not? Maybe. I mean, the Tyrannosaur was the same one, so possibly. Yeah. And then we just jump back in time. Not even a distinct segment. It's still about mosasaurs.
Yeah.
So it's still about mosasaurs. So not like the Alaska segment, which was a complete off branch from the story. But I don't know.
So
you tell me what's going on.
No, but I think the point with the Alaska segment was to show that the feathers actually help them even survive in cold climates.
Okay, I guess.
That's kind of what I could get. I mean, that's more of a connection. Well, no, it's not more of a connection, but it's better done than this.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it still feels like kind of a random jump, but...
At least that sequence was fun. I'm gonna be blunt.
Okay, yeah. You make your point.
So it eats a lobster, and then guess who appears? An abelisauroid. Care to share the picture?
Yes. The full body or the head?
Share the full body.
Okay.
I wanted
So-
to show these screenshots of it, but I guess not.
Well, that's
Hey, it's a nice Rugops they got there.
I despise that model with a burning passion. I do.
Yeah.
I don't like
It'd have
that.
been better if it didn't have feathers.
And if the feathers didn't look like a green with, I keep trying to think what it reminds me of, but I think it just reminds me of mold, like cheese, 10 days beyond its expiry date. It's just,
Oh no!
it's got a colony of fungi on its back. It's I don't know. I despise it.
Yeah.
I personally don't mind it.
And it's almost definitely Rugops. The skull is a perfect match for Rugops. Rugops lived in Africa 95 million years ago, approximately, so it matches the time perfectly.
Speaking
fact,
of
it's the
skull, I'm
only-
just gonna drop it.
In fact, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
and guess what it's called?
Wait. It lacks the because the Rugops has these tiny dots in between the bony crest that may have supported a soft tissue crest as well. This is it doesn't depict it, but to be fair, there's been no confirmation that the holes will actually have borne soft tissue crests, because the only person to ever write about Rugops has been Paul Sereno.
Yeah. I think the only depiction of the soft tissue crest is probably Todd Marshall's, I think.
Monsters Resurrected.
Oh, did it do it too?
Yeah, Monsters
I-
Resurrected has the soft tissue today.
Yeah, Todd Marshall did a soft tissue crest on his reconstruction.
Yeah, which is the most famous one in my opinion.
I wouldn't say so.
Actually, I can share the Monsters Resurrected Rugops here,
Do it.
because why not? Just to show what the soft tissue crest may have been like. You can see above the actual crest, it has this thin, almost keratinous like frill.
Like kind of Dilophosaurus, like in appearance at least.
Yeah, but not in structure at all, because
Yeah.
Rugops would have been entirely like that. I will share Todd Marshall's as well, because credit where credit is due. That one's really good as well.
Yeah,
That was
it looks
pretty
great.
good.
I'm not sure if I agree with the soft tissue crest idea.
I mean, it does have holes, and that's the only explanation Sereno has put forward. It is a symmetrical row of 7 holes on either side. So, it's possible. I mean, I don't know what other function it may have been, but I agree it's not been studied nearly enough for us to say with certainty that they would have been soft tissue crests. But yeah, so the Rugops pops up looking like a poorly mowed lawn.
Yeah, I don't
And
just because over here. Not only does the back look like it is covered in mold, the coloration on the head is kind of similar to this guy here, which is the god awful Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World the game.
I see what you're going for, but doesn't really match up that well to me.
It matches up in principle, in concept.
Yeah.
It does. It's
mean,
green. It's
I'm
green
not
on top around the crest with streaks down, a yellowy area, and then it's red at the bottom.
I'm not at all
personally-
saying it copied it. I don't think it did. It's just
Yeah.
it
No,
looks
it's
uncannily similar.
yeah. We're not blaming anyone, because it could have been coincidence, but in principle,
It's just one of these
I
things you can't
personally
unsee.
like the color scheme for the Rugops. I think it's a good color scheme.
but yeah. So obviously the text just identifies it as abelisauroid. So
Who knows what
not-
it is?
I'm
And
just
not
gonna refer
Rugops.
to it as abelisauroid, but whatever. Honestly, the documentary does not deserve that much attention for identifying the genera, since it does a completely lazy job where it did not need to, because it could just outright tell us if it was a Rugops, which all evidence
it's
suggests it
ridiculous.
is.
last episode was, for the most part, pretty up to date with its names. Like general, which have never been seen before, which have been given their own genus name, like Cenobazar. And then this one, everything is just, let's just be as vague as possible.
Yeah. No, it's honestly very disappointing. So the Rugops pursues the group of, what are they? Of monitor lizards, which hide up a tree, so the Rugops can't get to them. And then this flock of Azdarchoids comes in and starts it just flies into the tree. 1 second passes, and then they just fly out from above the tree carrying monitor lizards in their mouths. It's the most ridiculous visual ever. They just fly in there.
It literally,
I'm sorry, it's like
of it. It's just you see them flying into the tree, and blink of an eye, out again.
This would have worked well.
I'll be sharing a picture. I'll be sharing the video now.
God, that scene was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
I still have to give it if you need it.
No, I've already shared it in post.
Okay. It's ridiculous. It's
and obviously one of them
even doesn't make sense, because at that moment, we had a couple of the Mosasaur ancestors picked up by the Rugops. Let's just say Rugops because it's easier. Then we climb up the tree. Basically, they're chased along the beach, parallel to the ocean. They run alongside the ocean. Then they run inland, still chased by the Rugops. Crawl up a tree, still chased by the Rugops. He gets another one, eats it. Pterosaurs show up, grab another couple of them. So only one remains, and is sitting on a branch. Pterosaur trying to eat it, Rugops trying to eat it. What does it do? It jumps into the ocean and just swims. It's great at swimming. It's fantastic, which makes sense being a mosasaur. But it raises a
monitor lizard. Monitor lizards already have the ability to swim.
Yes, and it raises a question. So, if it's perfectly well adapted to swim in the ocean, why the hell didn't we run inland, parallel to the sea? Why did none of them even try to jump into the water off the cliff, or just run into the water at the beginning?
Because plot. Gotta have one character survive and live on.
Plot.
Yeah, so the monitor just jumps into the water and swims away. And that's a thing. And what happens next? And they're just swimming around. It eats some of the fish. So it decides to stay in the water, I guess, and evolve. Then we get a scene of the mosasaur eating fish. I'm scrolling through the episode now because I've completely forgotten what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna just stop it with you because in between, I think they show a phylogenetic tree.
Oh yeah,
well, mosasaur and leading up to the mosasaur, and I think it's important to mention because not a lot of people seem to know that. But mosasaurs are an interesting case.
I mean, we'll have already discussed it by the time this episode comes out in the Lori episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we do. But let's go more in depth now.
In case someone skipped the Lori episode or started watching us after that episode. Because in mosasaurs, they split into two different lineages, the Dinosaur lineage and the mosasaur lineage, before they went fully marine, fully aquatic. So they had terrestrial, semi-aquatic ancestors, and both of them adapted to an aquatic lifestyle independently. So it's not one straight line from terrestrial to marine, but instead two separate lineages.
In fact, it may even be three lineages, according to some people who view the Halisaurines as being their own lineage from a terrestrial. As opposed to being lumped with Tylosaurines. So
I think that's just the lineages for now until we got more info on that one. But point is, they completely ignore that one. Just paint it as a straight line with squamates and with lizards splitting off, then snakes splitting off, and then you have mosasaurs evolving from monitor lizards. And just completely gloss over this split in the mosasaur family tree.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's very
disappointing.
Big disappointment. Yeah,
very disappointing.
What else happens? And then there's like a parallel of the mosasaur eating the fish when the monitor eats the fish, because there's also a shot of the mosasaur eating the fish, and that's it. And that's all we get. And then we get Mukawaryu. I'll probably butcher that. Mukawaryu. A small hadrosaur. So if you want to, we get this sequence. If you want to go ahead and share that.
Oh, not this. Oh,
pretty small guy.
So
yeah,
and it's being chased by another Tyrannosaur.
Let's just discuss this one first. So this is Mukawaryu, yet to be described, and identified as Hadrosaur-like, I believe. Yep, Hadrosaurus-like. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Go on.
And yeah, it's chased by Tyrannosaur. Which, this is basically the, I think, 4th, 5th Tyrannosaur we see in both episodes.
Overall 4th. We had Tarbosaurus and... I mean, unless you count there's this one other Tyrannosaurus Rex.
The reused model.
Yeah, which is a reused model from a previous documentary, I believe. There have been so many documentaries that it's hard to keep track, but yeah.
The Tarbosaurus, the Nanosaurus, the feathered Tyrannosaur, and now
from the black Tyrannosaur.
Yeah.
Which is scaly.
Wait a minute.
So yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. They don't identify it. They can say absolutely nothing about it other than, oh look, this one is even... It's more JP-like and yet also more accurate than the others.
It also continues the trend of random scene of hunting. Mosasaur shows up and just jumps out of water to eat. We have seen that the Hadrosaur is basically chased along the coast. It ends up on
backing
the beach,
away.
Backing into the ocean with Tyrannosaur approaching and driving it deeper into the water. And out of nowhere, the Mosasaur just jumps out like a killer whale, like an orca, and grabs it on the beach. It starts rolling around with it.
Yeah, I'll be sharing the clip of that.
Looks in disbelief.
I'll share the clip of that now because it's so ridiculous.
モササウルスは恐竜をも恐れぬ王者へと進化したのだ。
I think this thing is just as confused as we are at this point.
Yeah.
He just cannot believe what he just saw. He's in complete disbelief.
How does this even happen?
Yeah, so this is taking your inspiration from Jurassic World.
Oh my god, I didn't realize it until now. Oh god. How did I see that?
So that concludes any our new genera, or rather our new creatures, because there is no semblance of genera being present. They're clearly taxa, in that they are individuals of some species, but honestly, I don't care at this point. And we're halfway through.
Oh,
and
please.
We've exhausted all of the new animals. Halfway through.
Wait, we are only halfway through?
Only halfway through the documentary. Because you know what happens next?
This is
20
torture.
minutes of skinks mating.
Oh yeah. Oh god. I mean, at least the Scalies will be happy, I suppose. Okay, I'm all joking aside.
And then we have a scene of turtles mating, which I believe may even be CGI turtles.
I didn't pay attention.
Those are CGI turtles.
Those are CGI turtles. They have some
I think I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine at that point until they got back to the mosasaurs.
Yeah, so there's a scene of CGI turtles on the beach, which is pointless.
show screenshot, or does
and
Armin
looking.
have it?
No, Armin does not have them.
Okay, so let me show screenshot of it. These turtles.
Okay,
Yeah.
it looks like CGI. Yeah.
Those are CGI.
That's.
Yeah, it's CGI.
Why would you do that? It's like...
I don't. I've been unable. I forgot they were in this, so I haven't identified what they are. But looking at the identification, they're relatives. Again, I can see the 3 kanji for relative. So they're relatives of some genus. Not Archelon, so I don't know which one they were relative of, but so that's a thing that happens. And then we're back to the scientist. Oh no, and then we go to Rugops, which are eating turtle eggs. Oh, because these are the turtles that laid the eggs. So then we go to the morning after, where the Rugops unearth the turtle eggs and eat them. And then down by the beach, the monitor lizard goes to sea and gives birth. And that's it. And nothing interesting happens. And it's back to the lab. And then we're pulling out some bones and stuff. And we talk about how mosasaurs will have given birth to live young, like the monitor lizard. And then we're back to the skinks.
Which
and I don't know
just
what
makes sense anatomically, because no way a mosasaur is gonna lift itself onto the beach. I mean, we already know that plesiosaurs don't do it, and just on basic outwards appearance, a plesiosaur crawling on land seems more likely than a mosasaur.
Yeah.
And yeah, that has been debunked. So of course, a mosasaur would only make sense to be giving birth to live young.
So we spend another 5 minutes looking at skinks doing stuff. I don't know what they're doing.
At this point, I just want this to end.
So we're back to 66 million years ago. Back with the mosasaur, I guess. And the mosasaur is pregnant. Do you want to share the picture, Armin?
Oh, with pleasure.
That sounded so wrong.
So yeah, that's one inflated mosasaur.
Thick mosa.
I have to. In reptiles, you can notice when we're pregnant, but this is ridiculous. Like it's. I mean, come on, and it gives birth to like what, 3 youngsters, 3 small mosasaurs.
I'm pretty sure it's 3.
So yeah, it's ridiculous how bloated this thing is.
Yeah.
Like I think this is actually just a decomposing corpse. It's about to burst.
Japan. So this thing languishes around just very slowly, with absolutely nothing happening. And that's it. And it eats a fish, or tries to eat a fish, but it's too slow. And it's the slowest attempt at being awesome bro ever, in that it's another pointless action scene. But at this point, the audience has lost all care. And then we go to one of the scenes that really pissed me off, which is nightfall has come.
Do you need to censor yourself now?
No. Do I?
I've
Maybe.
been laughing way too much this episode.
But yeah. Well.
Forgive me for my laughter.
That's fine. At least you're getting enjoyment out of this episode of the NHK documentary in one way or another. So night has fallen, and sadly hasn't crushed all the episode's characters, but it's night, there's a full moon, and there is a... What is it? A birthing pod or something?
It's a mass spawning, kind of?
Mass spawning, yeah. Except, no, because mass spawning, isn't it when you mate? Mass spawning, or is it... Mass spawning is giving birth for, like, squid and fish and stuff.
I suppose.
But I honestly don't care, because... No! Large-bodied animals do not have mass birthing. Not large-bodied mammals. I mean, you do large-scale birthing when you have eggs. That's what turtles do. But I don't think something would have given birth at a large group. Not something like a mosasaur. That's just bound to attract predators. I mean, you are a mosasaur, but
themselves. You're trying to tell me that a bunch of starved female mosasaurs wouldn't immediately go for the juveniles of the next one?
I mean, considering that monitor lizards are cannibalistic,
I mean, even the ophthalmosaurs in Walking with Dinosaurs tried eating the other youngsters. And in Walking with Dinosaurs, it at least made sense because they established that ophthalmosaurs were deep sea species. And they would just come to the reef because it was protected, because it would leave the youngsters alone.
Yeah.
So it at least made sense in context. I'm not sure how accurate it is at this standard, at this point. But
this seems
at least
inaccurate.
It made sense in logic. With this, you have a bunch of mosasaurs being predators, joining together in some random location, giving birth, and, as we see it a bit later, taking care of the young. So if you aren't gonna go to a safe place like a reef, so you can abandon them without them dying immediately, then why would you gather in the first place?
Yep.
I don't see a benefit.
The big stupid. We also cut away to a group of elasmosaurs giving birth.
Again,
that's a bit better because
we haven't seen them since the bait ball scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We haven't seen anything of these guys, and then they suddenly show up to give birth. Unlimitedly group birthing in elasmosaurs makes sense because
it wasn't even group. I think it was like 2 or 3 individuals.
It's 3 individuals, which makes sense. I mean, you would congregate. You're not going to eat the young.
Yeah, especially not those ones because those are massive.
Yeah, and also it's good because one baby elasmosaur may be a group of Xiphactinus would chance it. So yeah. So they're all giving birth, and guess what cuts in at this point? The pop song from the previous episode's climax. That's another thing that really I despised about this episode, is that almost all of the music is reused from the first episode. It honestly bugged me because I noticed
it. It's not even that it's reused, I think. It's like they try to capture the same energy, I think.
No, I'm not just talking about the climax. I'm talking about the entire sequence, from the chase sequences at the beginning to the more calm music bit. It's all reused music from the original episode.
I don't remember the music of this at all. Like literally, the only thing I remember is the pop song.
No, but I did pay attention to it, and I did like the music whilst watching the first episode. I thought it was good instrumental music, personally, and I was very disappointed that they just ended up reusing it in the second one. But yeah, the pop song comes on, and automatically the first thing you're thinking is, "Oh God, someone's gonna die."
Exactly.
Horribly.
And then. And then.
And just flashbacks. I just burst out laughing watching this. So whilst the first one uses the pop music to contrast a not over the top. The actual climax, if you take it without the music, could almost be construed as mildly awesome, bro, in the sense that it's a fight, but it's still a decent fight. It's not ridiculously. It's a bit over the top. Tarbosaurus fighting Dinosaurus like that, but as a premise, it's fine. And the music actually serves to contrast in a good way the severity of the fight. And this makes it almost emotional. It does make it emotional, personally.
Yeah.
In this one, what you're watching complements the music. The music is already pretty lighthearted if you don't know the lyrics, let's be honest. I don't know what the lyrics are. But the music sounds pretty lighthearted, and the most ridiculous scene is just pulled out of nowhere. Literally out of thin air, pretty much.
You just see the ocean, and suddenly a massive swarm of Xiphactinus materializes out of nowhere.
At least 300.
Like it's a war.
At least 300.
It is straight up.
It looks like a scene from an Asylum movie.
Yeah, it does. It's just that or the Jurassic World Pterosaur breakout. I'm not gonna. But God, that's just. I'm sharing it now. Enjoy, and just behold.
Again, in the first one, It worked. It just worked.
It really
And
did
like,
work.
It tried to do the same, but we aren't anywhere near the same emotional level
Oh yeah.
to this monster. It wasn't. We had the same one the entire episode. We were kind of rooting for it, but is it the same monster as in the beginning? I don't know.
I don't know.
Could be, maybe. I suppose.
We
I mean,
like
this
we
entire
couldn't tell.
episode wasn't a connected narrative. It was just a random collection of scenes of Mosasaur eating stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
This-
And
So you have
so
no emotional
I-
connection. You can't even quite tell if it's the same one. Did we have a
I'm
mating
willing to
scene? I
bet
don't
this
think
is
we
not
had a
this-
mating scene with these
I
guys.
don't think we had a mating scene. No.
I'm willing to
And
bet
the fact
not
that
the
shows up,
same Mosasaur.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care if they eat all the babies. Sure, why
Of course
not?
not.
Go ahead. I don't care.
And I'm sorry, you can't just have a climax where you bring all the Zafactonists to the table. All of them. That's just 300. That's a population of a. That's
And again,
No.
it's so shameless in trying to do the same thing as episode 1, but in such. Given all the stuff surrounding it is just wrong. It doesn't work again.
and there's not even like. And everyone's fine. All the Mosasaurs are fine. At the end of it, they eat the Zafactonus because, of course, and then and then the Zafactonus just all
Catering
flee.
service. It's a catering service.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was
How were
okay.
they
So
able to
maybe
make them flee like that?
yeah,
But literally,
No,
it was running sushi.
yeah.
They really had to make Zafactonus a big punch.
I mean, jeez, that's just ridiculous.
There's
I
like
can't
a bunch
believe.
of them, and they could have easily killed like a lot of the Mosasaurs, but a few die, and all of them retreat. That's
Yeah.
Also, hey, another reason why a massive spawning point is a terrible idea.
Yeah, so that was big stupid. That was the biggest stupid in a long time. That was terrible,
terrible.
but also
I mean,
still brilliant.
Stupid.
It ended the episode on a high note.
Well, actually, the episode does end on a better note for me because it actually brings back the dinosaurs of the first episode, which were actually nice to see.
I suppose it
Um,
also ends with the obligatory asteroid, which
Yeah,
does
but-
give us the solace that at least all of these will die,
Yeah.
which I
But-
never thought I would say about the documentary.
After the
Thankfully.
climax, we go to Dinokairos mating with a rainbow in the background at sunset. Again, this episode was so over the top, but it's still miles better than anything that the Mosasaur segment produced. I mean, I'll just share the picture here of some of it. It's color at last. Some semblance of prettiness has entered this documentary, and I was just, thank God. And we get to see the Troodon as well. These ones are presumably the chicks, I assume, just randomly of the original, and because we see the Troodon from the Prince Creek Formation segment with several chicks, but I don't know if it's the same one. I don't care. I loved it. Best part, and then we get the meteor descending, and there's this one shot where you get a few asteroids falling to Earth, and then the meteor swoops in and just blocks out the sun, it blocks out the Earth, everything to the audience.
It should have ended right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it how it is. If it really felt like it had to force in the asteroid at the end, it should have just cut to the credits as soon as Earth was blocked out, and it was just black. But instead, just continued the scene.
We do get one new clip in the scene after that, which I do honestly like a lot. Which I think is another instance of the great visuals. I mean, that's honestly ominous.
As I said,
I agree with you. It should have ended before. Either
it would have been more ominous. It would have just see the asteroid into the screen, block out the other ones, the smaller pieces, block out the sun, block out the Earth. The screen is black for a second, and you should have just put the credits right there.
Yeah.
Instead, we just continued it, and I feel like it went too far. Like it could have been such a harrowing, such a dramatic ending, ominous, just creepy almost. And nope, I had to continue the scene.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get it. It's an asteroid. It's gonna drop towards Earth. You didn't have to show us past it. We didn't think it would just.
And
Going to
the
a
other thing which I
different
hate, which is honestly something that looks just out of a really terrible 2009 documentary by like the History Channel or something. I do actually have one in mind, but where you actually see the asteroid in its entirety just land into the ocean. Just nothing, just slowly. You can actually see the asteroid. It's not just one huge ball of light. It's honestly pretty terrible in my opinion. Just this shot of it just bloop, just sinking into the ocean.
Like a stone.
Yeah, and then we just get to see all of the other characters as the screen just fades to white. It's not even like you don't get like a flare or anything. You don't get any source that it's the light from the asteroid coming in direction. Nope, just fade to white. And then the mosasaur just fades to white, and it's the happiest thing you've seen at the end of this documentary after all you've been through. And then it just ends. And that's it. There's no next time. It's just over, and you get sweet relief. And the end credits play.
We finally made it through 50 minutes of torture.
Imagine if it would have had more than 2 parts, and each episode had the same basic ending with the pop music starts and something terrible happens. It's just in each episode, it's the same song as something gets killed. We should be glad
Argentinosaurus just killed by like 50 Mapusaurus.
Yes. So
yeah,
this was a disappointment.
It was.
The first one was really good at setting up stuff and
not setting up, but by itself, it was very absolutely.
And then this comes and it really doesn't really give us good identification. A lot of it is boring. It's crap. The scenes don't connect to each other at all.
The visuals are ugly.
Yeah, it's deja vu. You have like 3 or 4 times when the monster just jumps out of the water to eat something.
Yeah, no, it's just glorified eating of stuffs.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the last episode, some people are pretty worried that the documentary will be pretty awesome, bro. And Akira, I think, pretty much said, "Oh, yeah, but we've seen so many clips with family and stuff." So he said basically, "Oh, might as well be a blend. I think it's gonna be good." Well, it turns out, all the good stuff was in episode 1, but all the stuff that was concerning to us appeared in episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, we were concerned about stuff like, and we were concerned about stuff like the Turbosaurus fights and all that, but also episode 1 handled it well.
Yeah,
like the shots by themselves, could be construed as awesome, but it did not feel like it. No. You've identified with the characters.
It didn't feel like violence for the sake of violence.
Exactly.
It felt like violence for the sake of the story. In this one, it's just, as I said, it's a random compilation of scenes of mosasaur eating things. You might as well play the ending of Jurassic World 5 times in a row and get the same result.
Yeah. No, that's honestly, God, that's painful. But yeah.
Second episode was painful.
At least we had one good documentary.
At least we had episode 1. At least we had episode 1.
One's good.
Episode 1 was very good. I'm like, I think I forgive episode 2 just because we got episode 1 tied with it, so to speak. Like, overall, I'm happy the NHK 2-parter got made. I am very happy it got made.
Yes.
Because episode 1 is something I will remember for a long time to come. Unless, of course, the BBC finally steps up.
Episode 2 is a 3 out of 10.
I would give it a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10, yeah.
2. Okay. So, yeah, no. Armin, who's also seen When Whales Walked, how does this compare to that? I'm curious.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. This one had more CGI than When Whales Walk.
Obviously, episode 1 is clearly superior to When Whales
No,
Walk.
I'm just talking episode 2 now.
Yeah,
I
was going to continue with it straight away. I wasn't going to dwell on episode 1 because obviously it's easy to pick. I can't really place it because When Whales Walked and Dinosaur Superworld, quote unquote, episode 2 are different kinds of bad. When Whales Walked was boring, it had a lot of misinformation in it, just casually thrown in there.
Yeah.
It really didn't use animation all that much. But NHK2, Dinosaur Superworld Part 2, has the problem. I can't speak for the info presented for the most part because obviously we didn't understand a thing because it was Japanese. But it's another problem. It showed us so much animation that didn't connect to anything at all.
Yeah.
So whereas When Whales Walked had animation that at least kind of tied into what they were talking about, even though rarely using animation.
Yeah.
And this one just was completely disconnected from anything that's happening. One scene had nothing to do with the next scene, and so on and so on.
Yeah, When Whales Walked had a lack of animation, this one had horrible misuse of the animation.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both two different kinds of bad. I would say they're roughly equal, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose they're equal in an overall rating, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's hard to compare them given how different they screw things up.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think
it's apples and oranges.
Yeah. Bad apples and bad oranges. But apples and oranges, nonetheless. Yeah. Episode 1 was really good, though. Let's try and end this two-parter on a happy note.
It's easily one of the best documentaries in recent memory.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the best of the decade going off now. I mean, it's just fun and it's beautiful and it's just cinematography and the CGI is well used and gorgeous and
sure it has problems, but I mean, what documentary doesn't?
Episode 1 was amazing.
Yeah. No, I'll concede.
I just wish I would have used Teletubby Land that often.
I can live with
I take Teletubby Land over Bland Ocean number 2000.
There was so much coastline in this, just generic coastline. And it's the same coastline.
Yeah, hey, sorry, NHK. Beaches can look differently. Like you have rocky coastlines, sand. Sand can look different. Some have more vegetation, some less.
The beaches look so much the same that we forgot to point something out, which is that the Azdarchoid chased by the T-Rex is the same model as the one that eats the monitor lizard.
Oh yeah.
30 million years earlier. That's one long-lived species. I mean, that's just see, episode 1 has different models for the Xanabazar and the Troodon, like completely different models. This one has the same as Darkoid.
It hurts so much.
It says a lot.
Yeah.
So final verdict. Go watch episode 1 again, and
absolutely
no episode 2. It never happened.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you can easily have episode 1 and just pretend like episode 2 doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Just embrace episode 1. It's a really good documentary.
Indeed, it is.
Shall we close by saying that there is a future for this NHK documentary, and that they announced there's going to be a theatrical release of the documentary, which will feature CGI from this, CGI from other documentaries that they've done, and CGI, and possibly also original CGI, using these models, like models from documentaries, but still a theatrical release. Only in Japan, so we're never getting to watch that. But
I mean, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, so
no. And I mean, episode 2, I never want to see again. And episode 1, honestly, doesn't need to be theatrical. I think it actually is fine with the dialogue, with the sciencey bits. I feel they did sciencey bits really well, better than easily beats out Dinosaur Revolution, and I would argue Planet Dinosaur as well.
Yeah.
Because Planet Dinosaur, although I like what they did with the science bits, it really intrudes on the action. Like you'll have a chase scene cut away halfway midway.
So you can get a 3D scan of the skull.
Yeah. And Dinosaur Evolution just has the most pointless scientific inserts ever. Absolutely pointless.
Pointless.
So, yeah. This one honestly does that very, very well. It doesn't feel intrusive at all. You can easily skip across it if you want, if you're watching it with friends who don't care, like I have done already.
You can easily skip 20 minutes of skinks with
Yeah,
their
that was-
kinks.
And the second episode, yeah. First episode, it's actually decent to watch, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
you have Larry Whitmer. Can we give kudos where kudos is to Whitmer for being charismatic even when we don't understand what he's saying? It's just fun to watch. All of them were fun to watch. In the first one, you have Japanese scientist with Dinosaurus arms. It's just it's fun.
I'm telling you, this is like the future of warfare.
Yeah.
So
I guess that concludes it. Check out episode 1. I'm gonna go probably rewatch some
Highly
sequences
recommend
of
it.
that to get the bad taste of episode 2 out of my mouth. Episode 1, absolute, really, really well done. Go check that out.
really, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Don't watch. Don't watch.
Don't watch chips.
Do not
Yeah, please
watch
don't.
2.
Yeah. So that's it, and we hope you've enjoyed our
Yeah.
suffering as we relive this for you guys. We've already shared the best moments from the documentary, namely those 3 insane sequences of mosasaurs just eating stuff. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this 2-parter overall. We enjoyed one of the 2 episodes that we
We
recorded
did.
for this. But no, it was good to vent and get this out there and warn people.
True.
So yeah, that's all we can say.
Yeah.
I want to say, go watch episode 1, and we'll leave now before we ramble anymore. Farewell.
All right.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Peace.
Oh, thank God it's over.
Holy.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
Our
That was
suffering. Ugh.
I'm
suffering
in
is finally
incredible
over.
pain right now.